Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, February 16th, 2009. I'm Michael Goodspeed. I have a news item I'd like to share with you. This is a story that I came across that I would really like to have seen picked up by the national news media, but as many of us have come to realize on our own, mainstream news media will only pick up stories that jibe with a particular picture or vision of reality that they want to create for us. And this story just doesn't fit with that particular agenda. So I wanted to get it out there, and you can just make up your own minds about what it actually means. This story comes from a small town in Florida called Jupiter, Florida. This is reported by WPTV. The headline reads, "Teen allegedly tortured at school talks." A mother is outraged over the abuse her son endured at school. One of the teens charged in the case called it a, quote, "pretend rape" in police documents. The alleged victim and his mother say there was nothing pretend about it. They say the school should have done more to protect him. Maria says, quote, "You can call it fake rape. There's nothing fake about what my son has gone through." According to school police records, 2 other students admitted to simulating sex acts on Maria's son. What happened to the freshman was so traumatizing, he now lives with family members in another county. He spoke exclusively to us via phone. He says, quote, "I thought it would be just like a little thing, and it would get better, but it didn't." 18-year-old Storm Stockstill and a 16-year-old student are charged with felony battery and stalking a minor under 16. Stockstill is a star lacrosse player. The reported attacks took place in the locker room during school hours. The alleged victim says, quote, "They were laughing, and the coaches were laughing. It kind of blew me away because I thought the coaches would actually do something about it and not laugh." Maria's son says it happened 4 times to him. He had heard about the 2 boys before. Quote, "A couple of my friends said that they had had the same issue, but not as bad as I did." A school spokesperson released a statement saying in part, quote, "The school took immediate and strong action as soon as the incident was reported in November. Stockstill and the other student received a 10-day suspension." So we've all heard about this kind of thing before. It's not any great revelation that school bullying is still going on today in the 21st century because it's gone on forever, essentially. Young men have always had a propensity towards so-called roughhousing, or more accurately, sadism and cruelty. Some people grow out of it, others less so. This story is significant to me because it really bothers me that so many people, when it comes to the homeschooling issue or the school bullying issue, they put forth the idea that this kind of torment and abuse that goes on in the public schools is actually a good thing. They say it's good for young men to get knocked around a little bit because that teaches them a valuable lesson about what life is really like. You know, it's not all sunshine and lollipops, and not everyone gets along with each other. The world isn't just populated with friendly and nice people, so young men should get their teeth kicked in a little bit so they can learn to stand up for themselves. If you are a proponent of that particular idea, let me ask you, how would you respond if I hired a handful of NFL linebackers to come to your place of work, grab you out of your office cubicle, throw you on the ground, and then begin simulating acts of sodomy on you? How would you feel if your coworkers and your employer stood around and laughed while the humiliation was going on? Would you just kind of laugh that off and say, hey, you know, I guess I'm being taught a good lesson, and this is a really good character building experience? Or would you be on the phone with your lawyer within 5 minutes planning $1 million lawsuit? Or for that matter, would you go home and begin rummaging around looking for a weapon, maybe a gun, to even the score and maybe reclaim just a small portion of your dignity? We see the homeschooling issue debated in national media. People like Bill Maher, they speak very contemptuously of homeschooling. They view it as just another opportunity for Christian parents to indoctrinate their kids. And of course, Bill Maher believes that the institution of government is vastly superior to the institution of religion when it comes to indoctrinating kids. But just ask yourselves, given the demonstrable and consistent indifference that public school officials show towards kids in these taxpayer-funded indoctrination camps, would you really entrust the life and the well-being of your child to these types of institutions? Now, look, I understand that particularly here in the 21st century in the U.S., public schooling, it seems like the only option that's available for a lot of people. Very few of us can afford a private school. And if you have two parents who are working to try to support a family, homeschooling, it just may not seem like a feasible option. But I'm talking about this, and I'm putting this out there just so maybe, if even one parent will stop and consider that this type of thing could be going on totally unbeknownst to them, because it's a known fact that only a small percentage of female sexual assault victims ever report the crime to authority. If that's the case, then surely even more so, a young man who has had his dignity taken away from him and who has been emasculated in such a violent manner is not going to go around advertising what's happened to him. We cannot know. Those of us who are not immersed in the public school environment cannot possibly know what young people today have to go through on a daily basis. If you want to get on YouTube and if you want a splash of cold water, a rude awakening as to what the public schools today are actually like, do a search for the John Stossel video, Stupid in America. John Stossel went into a respected public school in a major metropolitan area with the cameras, and what he found is that not only are the kids not learning anything, but the environment is completely out of control. The inmates are running the asylum, so to speak. If you want to put forth the idea that kids should be beaten, they should be humiliated, they should have to learn how to deal with violence in order to just adapt to the so-called real world, you need to address the fact that kids are not learning how to read and write. They are not learning any of the skills that they will actually need in order to thrive in society. There was recently a report by Robert Roy Britt for NewScientist.com claiming that there are currently 32 million citizens in the United States who do not know how to read or write. I don't care if you know how to stand up to a bully. I don't care if you know how to physically defend yourself. If you don't know how to think, you have no chance for any real success in this world. Kids do not know, they do not go to school to learn how to fight. They do not go to school to learn how to just take their kicks and their blows and fight back or just keep going. And that is a fundamentally perverse argument. It is so bankrupt and so retarded, it's almost unworthy of a response, except for the fact that so many people actually believe it. So again, I know I'm not going to change anyone's mind about this issue through anything that I say, but I felt an obligation to share this news story with you because the mainstream media is not going to do it. The mainstream media is pro-public school, they are pro-government indoctrination, and we all need to think long and hard about what might be going on behind those closed doors because the media is not talking about it, and guess what? The young victims of these out-of-control indoctrination camps, maybe they're not talking, so maybe more of us need to learn to start talking on their behalf. And that's my message for today.